Welcome to Premier Sports Talk. We are live in the studio, bringing you the sports talk show for the people. Let's dive in.
What's happening, everybody? What's happening, everybody? And I'm your host, Double P of Premier Sports Talk. And it is August the 1st. It's day 4 up there in the Cleveland Browns, up there at the Berea facility. Shedeur is repping with the number ones. And let me tell you, I have to come back with another one. Why? Because Shedeur Sanders was sending off nuclear missiles. And the day was the day. I'm telling you, I'm not just saying it. Today is the day where he separated himself. Because one threw 3 touchdowns, another threw 3 interceptions. I ain't lying. The truth shall set you free. But on this particular episode, it's day 4 up there at the Cleveland Brown facility in the training camp. I'm going to let you hear from Deshaun Watson himself. I already showed the video earlier, Shedeur, when he was with the press conference. That's already been posted about 2 hours ago. You're going to hear from Deshaun Watson. I got to give him his equal time. And then you're also going to hear from Todd Monken. So the ask is, if you like this content that I'm providing you, it doesn't cost a thing. Hit the like button if you want to subscribe to Premier Sports Talk family and have your seat reserved at the table. Like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification bell. And you will get all the latest notifications whenever I go live. But again, I'm host Double P of Premier Sports Talk. And be looking for it. I'm coming up with day 4 recap, because if you ain't see it, you got to see what went down today. The narrative got to change. The narrative got to change in the local media up there in Cleveland. The narrative got to change in the national media. Shedeur Sanders is him. And seeing is believing. I'm just saying. So I'm going to let you hear from Deshaun Watson what he had to say in the local media press conference prior to him getting out on the field. And we're going to hear from Coach Todd Monken.
Deshaun, you guys were obviously down in Miami a couple weeks ago together, you, Shedeur, your teammates. How much have you seen carry over from what you guys were able to kind of get accomplished down there as you know, kind of gotten into camp?
I think the biggest thing that has been carrying over is just the relationships that we built. The time, not just on the field, but just off the field, hanging out, going to dinner, and just being around each other has been great. So you can see the chemistry and the bond between the team is definitely really good.
Deshaun, how do you feel like you have performed in your first 3 days of camp so far?
It's been decent, just working on the different situations that we go through each and every day. So just trying to master that as long as learning the new system. Of course, we had all spring, about 10 weeks to kind of learn the system. But, once you get into training camp, it's a lot of different changes and things like that he kind of throws in. So it's been well, just trying to stack each and every day. You can't win all the days at once. So you just got to take one day at a time and, correct the mistakes that you make and build from there.
Deshaun, the other day, Coach Monken was talking about cadence. He said he wants to have at least 10 in a given game, 10 different cadences. Is that a lot? You've been through your days where you had to know that many cadences for a game?
Yeah, actually, when I first got into the league, that was very heavy in Bill O'Brien's system. That was from the Patriots, Tom Brady tree. So everything was required for the quarterback to make the reads, the points, the cadences, and just make sure that everyone was on the same page. So this is definitely something that I'm familiar with.
Physically, Deshaun, how do you feel?
I feel really good. I feel healthy. Just got to continue to just build that football shape. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm working on through this process each and every day. Just try to build that endurance, build that football shape, because it's been a while since I've really been on the field with 11 on 11.
Is it tough at all going back and forth? One day you're with the ones, one day you're with the twos?
Yeah, I mean, it can be because it's hard to build that rhythm. But, at the same time, you as a quarterback, you just try to lock in. You got to be a leader out there, and you got to bring everybody to that standard. And you all got to play that way. So regardless of what group you're in with or who you in there with, you just got to make sure you execute at a high level. So It's definitely challenging, but at the same time, you can't make that as a excuse, in this job.
Deshaun, I know we've heard other quarterbacks talk about this, but in these training camp practices, especially, what's like the fine line for you as a quarterback with testing things out versus like not wanting to make mistakes, not being afraid to make mistakes, like
Okay.
that sort of thing?
I think it just depends on the period and what we're working on. Some certain things that we work on is like third and long. So we have those opportunities. We talk in a meeting. If you get this look or you get certain things, then let's be a little bit more aggressive. This is the time to see if you can make those throws. If the receivers can get their depth, have those timing routes. But this is the perfect time to be able to make all the mistakes you possibly can because it doesn't really count, and you don't want to get into a game and you haven't.
Whoa, what happened there? My apologies. So I was letting y'all hear from Deshaun Watson, and I had a glitch in my hitch. So I gotta share with you what Coach Monken had to say, y'all. I gotta share with you what Coach Monken has to say. What I do like both from Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson is there that QB locker room. There is we don't see any animosity or discontent towards one another. Just like Shedeur said, and we just heard from Deshaun Watson. They're working together. They're working together, trying to bring out the best in each and every one of them. He said he's locked in, just like Shedeur Sanders said he's locked in, and all they want to do is both of them want to do is be the best of themselves to compete to the best of their possibilities, and let the organization decide who's going to win. So let's listen to Todd Monken.
All right.
Todd, since we had both quarterbacks today, we talked to them, so they're obviously going to be a hot topic today. As you look at the first 3 full days of practice, how would you say those guys are each doing? How is the competition going?
Doing fine. I don't think you're really going to know until you get through all the installs because we're not game planning against our defense. Each day's been a different part of the pass game. So it's hard to really, and one day you go with the ones, the other day you go with the twos. Certainly that matchup's going to be different in terms of who you're going against. So I think the most important thing is from a process standpoint, how are we operating at the line of scrimmage? Where are their eyes? Are they taking command of the huddle and then cadence and then, understanding the concepts? So I think they're all doing good. I mean, they're all fine. I mean, all of our players are working through mistakes and fighting like hell to get better.
Is this the last day of installs today?
Oh, no, we got 8. Today's day 4. We'll go through next Thursday for our main installs. We'll go through 8 installs. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Gap scheme's going Monday for a reason. That's first day of pads. So the other days, the first 3 days when you're in shells and helmets, you really want to stay in wide zone and tight zone rather than getting the gap schemes. Next week, we'll get much more in the gap schemes.
The 6 practices in a row next week, is that something you guys did in Baltimore? And, what do you hope to accomplish with that?
Well, it all depends on how you look at 6 practices in a row. I think after you get through the 6 practices, you look at, was day 3, the same time? Were they in full pads? Obviously next Friday is not going to be, we're going to be in helmets, right? So it's 6 days in a row, but the players get 1 day off a week. So you can either spot it or you can say, we're just going to make it every Sunday, right? They want to go to church. They want to spend it with their family. They get Sunday. It's consistent. We did the same thing for family days. Here in the organization, every Monday's family day. You just try to make it consistent. What does that do? It makes one long week. But let's say we'd had the day off on Thursday or Friday next week. Well, then when do you give them the next day off, right? It's just the planning part of it. So we don't intend on going 6 straight days of contact hitting. First, you can't, okay, or the length.
Todd, before each and every play, just how have you seen them adjust to kind of fire hose of information, but with everything that you're asking of them before the ball even gets that line, how do you see them?
Well, first of all 4 are highly intelligent and want to be perfect. and they want to get us in the right play or protection. And at times, but at times they can try to be too perfect. And it's just, okay, you're creating anxiety at the line of scrimmage. We got to get up, get down, run the play, right? Learn from our mistakes, and then we can take it from there. But all of them are trying to do it right, get us in the right play. And I've been really impressed. Yesterday was our best day in terms of that. Certain things not as good, but yesterday there was a number of quarterback controlled situations that they were exceptional at.
Todd, we always see these guys out here.
Tomorrow has to be, Monday has to be 90 minutes, mandated by the league. So it'll be padded day and 90 minutes. These early practices are mandated in terms of when you get through the first 6 are mandated in terms of the amount of time. It ramps up from 90 to 105 to 120 and then works back down as you work your way back up. And then after that, hell, if you want to go 2.5 hours, you can. We're not going to do that. There'll be some days we will, but it is allowed.
Todd, yesterday, I know you talked about Deshaun's picks in the earlier practice, but what did you see on that throw that Quincy kicked off?
Well, similar in the fact that we were in a slot formation without an open one. And we had talked earlier about that specific individual route and how you have to be careful of all the traffic that could be in there. And what was really cool about it is that we had talked about it earlier in the day. And I'll be damned if he didn't go in there and there was traffic and then he threw it. We got an interception. So to me, that was really cool. Not at the moment, it wasn't really cool. But looking at it now, it's really cool that it was able to back up what we had talked about. He has to be careful in terms of that route and the spacing that's not created when we're going to go to that.
So I'm interested in this topic of cadences that we talked about last week. You said you want 10 eventually in a game. Are they numbers? So a quarterback says cadence 5 in the huddle, or how are they identified?
Oh, it's in the huddle. We'll tell him. I mean, we rarely do we just say, call whatever the hell you want. I'm not saying that's what you're asking. I'm just saying, and they'll understand when and where we're thinking of certain cadences. So it's all part of, and we're going to have wristbands. It's on the wristband, telling them what to be, but only the quarterback sees that. Then he communicates that in the huddle. But there's so much more to it. You get the line of scrimmage. There's communication. There's talk. There's blocking assignments. It's easy to just kind of not stay dialed into what the cadences are. That's why you got to continue to fight to work it every day.
Was it better yesterday?
It was better yesterday. Not on defense. I think we had 14 penalties yesterday, which is not ideal. 12 total that were pre-snap. Offense had 4, defense had 8. So not ideal. But again, some of that's the cost of doing business. If you want to be an attack style front, you want to crowd the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a few of those. But now's the time to work it, right, and get better at it.
I want to ask you about the person, about Deshaun and Shedeur in the meetings. We see them with such different personalities. So how are they like in meetings?
Well, they do have different personalities, as Dylan does. They're every human being's unique, right? Everybody else is taken. So they definitely have different personalities. But both are very sharp. Obviously, Deshaun, based on his experience, right, in the NFL, is going to have a little bit better grasp, right, of what's being asked of him, just from an operational standpoint, from a cadence standpoint, from a offensive system standpoint, because there's still going to be some similarities from system to system, right, changing plays, right, cadence, right, it's called one thing here and another. Well, Shedeur is just at the early stages of that. Dylan's been in 3 different programs and then now this is his 5th offense. So he's probably got a little bit more experience at that. So again, every player works at a different speed or pace. It's our job to, by the time they play, to really get them up to speed where they can play at a high level, where they can play fast. And that's the part of the system.
Kind of a 2-part question. Have you given any thought to letting each quarterback get consecutive days running the lines to see if they get in a little bit of a rhythm? And then are the twos, like when you put up the second and the third team units, is the defense running kind of more of a vanilla defense, or are they running the exact same stuff as starting defense?
Well, they're installing. The scripts are the same. So from field to field allows us to communicate that. So you're getting the exact same. I mean, look, other than the personnel may be different on both sides of the ball. It's going to have that. We have not really gone back to back with the ones. Doesn't mean you can't. Whether you went 2 days with Deshaun and then he went 2 days the other way, you could say they get in a rhythm, but then you put them with the twos for 2 days and that could break their rhythm. I mean, we've just made the decision to go every other day just to try as best we can to give each quarterback an opportunity with the ones. Is it going to be ideal? No, right? Because you're installing. So, and you're going against the ones and twos. But ultimately, whichever way you decide to divide the reps, even if it was in practice, within the practice, isn't always ideal.
So that's Todd Monken there. I just wanted to give you the meat and potatoes of his interview. I will say that it's day 4, August 1st, up there in Cleveland at the Berea facility. And to give you some breaking news, Shedeur had one hell of a day. Deshaun Watson had a not so good day. Somebody threw 3 interceptions in a pick. The other person, what did I just say? One QB threw 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown. The other QB threw 3 touchdowns, and at the very end of practice, a deep ball was picked off. I haven't seen it visually with my eyes, so I got to get in here where I can fit in and prepare for the day 4 recap. I just wanted to give you this. You heard from Deshaun Watson. He said he's feeling good. He said his mindset is right, and he's just trying to prepare himself executionally, on his to better his performance on the field. But like I just said, he didn't have a not so good day. And then you heard from Coach Todd Monken himself and giving him the reason why he's switching each quarterback between Watson and Shedeur, each of them getting their days. One day with the 1 reps, then they switch off, and the other person goes with the 2s, back and forth, back and forth. And we heard even Deshaun Watson say in his interview, it can be challenging not to work with the ones consistently. But hey, if you're an NFL quarterback, whoever next man up, whoever they bring in the huddle, you got to be able to be prepared to play with them. So in that aspect, it makes it better for both Shedeur, Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Tyler Green. But hey, if you picked up what I put down, like I always like to say, hit that like. If you want to subscribe to the channel so you can tap in and be a part of the Premier Sports Talk family and become a Premier soldier and already have your seat reserved, go ahead, subscribe. You won't be disappointed. And I'll be doing a live collaboration up there with Reese Will. He did back-to-back days up there. He lives in Ohio. He did a live show today. Look up the Reese Will show. Giving him a special shout out. He did a live collab today. It was awesome. You get that early on the field look at what occurred. But I'll be up there Wednesday with him doing a live collaboration. Peace, love, and blessings. I'll see y'all on the next one, y'all. I will see y'all on the next one.